How are we doing, guys? And welcome to another All Leeds TV Q&A where you can literally ask us anything. Not even within reason, because we basically answered every question last time, Chris. And that was very much to our detriment, to be fair. The Pat Butcher, Peggy Mitchell debate, that was one for the ages, that one. But we will have a new member of All Leeds TV. Well, a new member on our filming side of things, and Mike will be jumping on at some point as well on this video. So guys, get your questions in. We will go through anything that you've got to ask us. First and foremost, I don't know if you saw this interview, Chris, mate. Yeah, KP after Spurs. Do you think there's a risk of him leaving? I mean, I think there's always going to be a risk of him leaving because he's a fantastic footballer. But do you think there's a risk of him leaving in January? Is probably a more thingy question for that, or the summer. Does that worry you at all?
The summer potentially. I think the longer it rumbles on that he doesn't sign this new contract, then the summer would concern me. I'm not concerned about January. I don't think any of our big names will leave in January. So I think, like you said, there's always a concern around players leaving. I don't particularly pay too much attention to players immediately after a match because, you know what I mean?
Emotion, isn't it?
Hooked up on adrenaline, disappointed, and you just say stuff, don't you? We all remember Pontus effing and blinding about the referee after a game once, and obviously Luke Ayling's interview after the Forest game a couple of seasons ago. So I don't worry too much. I think, like I say, maybe in the summer, but if the club will surely present to Calvin and the rest of the squad where they see this club going in the next 12, 24 months. And if he sees enough and we bring enough quality in, then I think he'll stick around. Maybe there's a bit of Leeds white rose tinted glasses on there, but who knows? And it's also good to see, while we're talking about players staying and going, Rafa making all the right noises about being happy at Leeds as well the last couple of weeks. Yeah. He really has. I mean, with Rafa, I think if the right money comes in for him, then the club may trigger that, you know, following this whole Leicester model and stuff like that. But it's good to see that Rafa's not making... Deco is, but Deco's always going to make noises because he's an agent and he wants cash. But it seems Rafa's appreciates what Bielsa and Leeds have done for him and doesn't seem in a rush to get off anywhere, which is great.
No, absolutely. No, it's very encouraging. Those noises from Rafinha, and yeah, I agree. And I mean, I'm not going to get too concerned from what he said in the post-match interview. We've seen so many things from managers, players, as you said, where I mean, it is the emotion of the game, the adrenaline that you know, if you've just lost a game like we did against Tottenham, there's bound to be.
You only have to come on here and see us at post-match, don't you? Like overreactions to stuff at times. We're just watching on TV or in the ground. We're not playing, so.
I mean, I watched a few videos back from last season. I can't remember when it was, probably during the international break. And we were all saying top six, or top six. If we don't finish top six next season, we're going backwards as a club, I think is what we said. I think that's what he said. A couple of mentions of top four. We got carried away. But it is. You're totally right. Everyone's emotional after a game. Everyone's emotional after anything, really, aren't they? Guys, keep your questions coming in. Don't know if I've got another question here, actually. Have we got another question? Keep your questions coming in, guys. This is a Q&A at the end of the day. Let's have a look. We haven't got another question. At this moment in time. Let's make up a question.
I think we can cover this by Marcus because we were discussing it, obviously, before we came on, weren't we? It is good to see them both back on the grass. Yes. Which is why I'm still, like I said the other day, I'm 50% nervous, 50% completely sure we'll be okay. I'm split right down the middle, and I think seeing players like Paddy and to a lesser extent Robin Koch, because we've never really seen too much of Robin Koch. So, but certainly Paddy, getting them back in fills me with a bit more confidence that we can go on and start getting some results.
It's just depth, isn't it? It's just so much more depth. I mean, it's not just what it does to the first team, it actually just adds to the bench. You know, some players that started against Tottenham will then go to the bench, and then all of a sudden you look at the bench and think there's so much more experience there. And then, you know, everything just feels better, you know, in that kind of sense. I do think, you know, obviously Rafinha to come back in. Hopefully Rodrigo's come back in as well. That's 4 players straight off the bat there. And then you're not even having people like Luke Ayling to come back. So, all of a sudden that's 5.
That's four international players, because we can count Bamford in that bracket as well now, obviously. So
they're not average players, are they, as such? No. So it's an interesting one, though. Finds a gorilla or 20 lemurs. I mean, CK is the ultimate alpha male of all these TV, so I reckon he's taking both at the same time, to be honest.
I think I'd rather fight a gorilla.
Would you than 20 lemurs?
Yeah, you've only got to catch it once clean, haven't you, a gorilla? Whereas 20 of those little bastards jumping all over you, it's a free for all. So I'm going.
You just got to but you just got to match the lemurs for energy. That's the thing.
Yeah, mate. I'm 42. I ain't got that much energy. Just one good left up to the gorilla, and hopefully, and then run away. Well, it's recovery.
You've got that difference maker in you, the game changer within your artillery, haven't you? I'm going to say match the lemurs for energy. That's what I'm going for. I'm going to take the lemurs. You taking the gorillas?
I'll have the gorilla, yeah.
Are you going for that Hollywood shot there on the gorillas?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Very interesting one. I think Mike's trying to join here. Is Mike there?
No.
I don't know. I can't tell. Is Mike there?
Not yet. I think his device said it's connecting or something.
But yeah, I'm taking the lemurs. I'm taking the lemurs. Yeah, I'm definitely taking the lemurs. I'm not backing myself to produce that moment. Anyway, let's move on. So, do you think we'll sign a player in Jan? And if so, would you like to see which area would you like to see reinforced the most? That's it. I've put that to you first, Chris, as I let my man Mike come in. How are we, mate? Is he there?
Hello.
He's invisible.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was unreal, that.
I think he's having connection.
Can you see me?
We can see you, but you kind of came from absolutely nowhere. We'll let Mike sort himself out. and I'll add him back in when I can see him. But yeah,
I think we shouldn't expect wholesale signings, but I think there'll be one, and I think for me personally, it needs to be an attacking midfielder. So a Pablo-esque type player. Do you know what I mean? Someone who can make that difference in the middle of the park. We've got Forshaw and Calvin now in those deeper roles, which is great. And if Forshaw stays fit, that solves that problem of the hole in midfield where people just run into it. I think we need that bit of creativity in the middle now. Yes, Rodrigo can do bits in there, but hasn't completely sold himself to me in that position. And again, I think it comes down to depth. I think we need someone else there. So if Rodrigo's not finding form there, someone who can come in. So maybe I don't know much about him, but I've heard his name mentioned quite a bit. That John Swift
from Reading.
Yeah, from Reading. I think his numbers are great this season. So it won't be. I don't think it'll be a massive spend. I don't think there'll be any panic buying going on from the club. But I can see us maybe bringing one in.
Okay. Well, they might just magically appear like Mike did then. That was unreal, that, wasn't it? Just completely, just like, boom, I'm here. No, it's an interesting one for debate. I think, to be honest, there'll be a couple of areas we might look at in January. I don't think we'll just be looking at one. Me personally, I think we'll. I think a lot depends on results, to be honest, in terms of how immediate it is, in terms of who we try and bring in, and whether we go for the experienced players or the less experienced players. Because if we go on a run, like you said on Sunday, Chris, last season when we had that horrible April, similar kind of run of fixtures for December, we actually had our best run of the season in that kind of period. So if we do pick up points and all of a sudden find ourselves well clear of relegation, which would be a dream, obviously, I don't think we'd necessarily go for the experienced players. I think we might go for the younger side of the market. Well, that's just guesswork for me. But I do think midfield is going to be the one. I think there's been so much mention from Phil Hay on the midfielder. The fact we looked at Lewis O'Brien in the summer, Conor Gallagher in the summer, it's clear that we've obviously identified that style of midfielder is what we need. But But to be fair, obviously Forshaw's come in, and it is a cliche, but he's been like a new signing, really. If we're being totally honest, I mean, he's made, for me, personally, I'd say he's been our best player in the last 2 games. Actually, in both games, I'd say he's been our best player. You can argue Calvin, but for me, I'm saying Forshaw. I mean, he's made a massive difference, and both times he's come off, especially the Tottenham game, I felt we lost that little bit of control directly from Forshaw coming off.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I 100% agree. He just dictates the tempo of a game for us. He knows when to, quick one touch, get the ball out, and he knows when to take a touch and just slow it down and let everyone get back into position or do whatever. He's a very, very clever footballer. And as we said a couple of weeks ago when he first reappeared on the scene, there's a reason Bielsa said when he first appeared that Forshaw was the best player at the club. He's a good footballer and he's been unlucky with injury.
The thing is as well, Bielsa wouldn't have just said Forshaw's the best player at the club to give him a lift personally kind of thing, or to, in that kind of sense. He just said it because he thinks it. Some managers they say crazy stuff like he's the best player I've ever worked with, he's the best player in the world in that position. But Bielsa says that because he thinks it. That's the good thing about it. He's not just said that as a one-off token gesture. He means that. And every time Forshaw's available, he plays. It's as simple as that. He plays. It doesn't matter how long it is since he's played the game of football. He will be in that team if he's available. So, an interesting one in that sense. Matteo Joseph. I've not seen that one, to be fair, Nicholas. Have you seen anything of that?
Nothing.
I don't actually know who he is, to be honest. I don't know if it's someone on the wind-up. I'm just trying to see Matteo Joseph. Is there any? It's not another Phil someone, is it? That classic. Phil McCracken. It's not that one again, is it? No, I don't think it is, to be fair. I was just trying to... In my head, I was thinking, is that...
There you go. There's something mentioned here. Leeds have agreed a deal to sign Espanyol striker Matteo Joseph, according to radio football journalist Diego Balbontin. I don't know who Diego Balbontin is either.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of places that have reported it, but nothing that I'd say is... I'd use as a concrete source. There's no Phil Hay or anyone saying it's done.
Yeah.
Looking at him.
I mean, I'm assuming as well, I've not heard of him. I do like my Spanish football. I'm assuming he's an Espanyol B player. I'm assuming he's not a first team at 18 as well. Probably not. Again, if I'm wrong on that, I apologise, but I have not come across him at all before. But striker as well. So interesting in that sense.
I think if that is the case, I think that's a move to bring someone in to replace like Joffrey and players like that in the 23s, with Joffrey now obviously taking the step up into the first team. So it won't be anything that would affect this season for me if we brought him in, not for the first team.
No, I think it's to maybe keep the under 23s tying over, because you look at what Gelhardt did. I'd imagine now it's got to that point with Gelhardt where he's going to play more for the first team than he is the 23s. To be honest, or he's certainly going to be an option off the bench, because the fact he starts that Tottenham game gives a good account of himself. Very much conclusive.
I think Joffrey now will be similar to like Tyler is, that when he doesn't come off the bench, then he'll play in the 23s for 45 minutes to have a bit of game time.
Do like a fitness builder and that lot, and just keep him fresh in that kind of sense. Let's keep some questions in. Let's have a look. Against Spurs, I agree with this sentiment totally, first of all, but against Spurs, we missed a lot of quality players. Bamford, Raf and Rodrigo. Imagine Liverpool without Salah, Mane and Jota. Would they beat Spurs?
They'd have a better chance than us, because they've got an unbelievable squad. But it's right, you take the best players out of the team, and more often than not, they're going to struggle more than with the top players in. Do you know what I mean? So it's right. I understand the comparison. It's just it shows up more in a squad like ours when we are missing 2 or 3 of our top quality players, because our squad depth isn't as strong as, say, a Liverpool or even a Tottenham. Their squad depth is real, actually. But But I understand the comparison completely.
But I think it's fair. You saw the way Liverpool dropped off. I've said it before, the way Liverpool dropped off last season, that it came out of nowhere. They've been fantastic before it, fantastic after it. You miss your best players, you lose games of football. Managers aren't magicians. That's the thing to say. Even the best in the world, Klopp, Bielsa, Pep, obviously had no defenders at one point. It does have an effect. And I'm going to add in, our man Mike here, he seems to be clear. Seems to be clear this time. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I've had to do it on my phone instead.
Not a problem, man. Not a problem at all. Introduce yourself then, first of all, mate.
Right, so I'm Michael, Leeds fan for don't know how many years now. Yeah.
The way you said, don't know how many years for now. Too many.
I was probably about 11, well, yeah, so 11, so 19 odd years, give or take.
Okay. Blimey. Okay. I mean, look, against Tottenham, Mike, we obviously had that discussion in the group chat. Mike, who does run our TikTok account, does a fantastic job running our TikTok account. Make sure you check us out on TikTok, by the way. I don't do any crazy dancing on there, but it's still worth checking out anyway. I can do if needed, but I'd probably rather not, to be fair. Chris, would you be willing to?
No.
I knew you'd get a no like that. I knew it wouldn't be a maybe. I just knew it'd be a nah.
I don't know. If Tasha gets a phone out in Billy's after a good win, then she might call him dancing.
After a few sherbets, I think that might be the case. Mike, I mean, look, that's obviously the question that's coming from Pecan there. It's a massive loss, isn't it? Bamford, Rafa and Rodrigo at this moment in time. We've made the comparison to Liverpool without Salah, Mane and Jota. I mean, for me, when they are back available, our results will go just suddenly massively improve for me. I do genuinely think that's going to be the case when Bamford's back in the team.
Yeah, definitely for the pressing aspect of going forward as well. We have missed that. Whereas Rodrigo doesn't necessarily do it as well. And we didn't see it in the second half. Whereas the first half, it was a lot of pressing from everyone. It just seemed second half just dipped.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. I think I said the same thing to Chris on the post-match, that first 60 minutes we were great in terms of that sense. Joffrey, I thought, did a great job. And then as soon as kind of like Forshaw dropped off, for like 10 minutes before he came off, we just seemed a little bit flat. I don't know if you still agree with that, Chris.
Yeah. It's again, mate. We said it on the post match. It's that's where our lack of depth shows when we can't bring someone on of similar quality to the player that's going off that continue the press and hard work and have the quality as well. You can bring a Tyler on who'll run all day, but he hasn't got the same quality at the minute to do the stuff that other players that he's replacing can do, and that's just a fact. So yeah, it's just, again, it comes down to squad depth, mate. And we dropped off a cliff at 60 minutes once Forshaw and Co have started going off. We really did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think we all felt that was going to happen during the game, that when we had that moment to go 2-0 up, obviously Lloris save from, I'm trying to figure who it was from now, Gelhardt, I think it was. You thought, that was the chance. That was the chance maybe to get the second. But a couple more questions coming in, a few more interesting ones. I'll go to you first with this one, Mike. So it's from Cloud Dizzle. Evening all. Do you guys reckon we can hang on to Bielsa for at least one more season after this one? I'll go to you first, Mike.
I don't know. I've been saying, as I said last year, I don't think he'd stay. So I'm shocked that he did stay another year. But it's whether or not there's somebody that he thinks would be right to take over from him. I think he would have a say in who takes over him. And if the right person's not available, then there's a chance he'll stay.
Okay. I mean, Chris, you see it being... I mean, I don't like to make the comparison, but that's a bit like a Man United thing, that when Ferguson left, he obviously waited until Moyes was available. I don't like talking about Man United, but do you feel that that might be the angle we go down kind of thing? Or is it too early to say?
I think with Marcelo, it comes down to the fact that if he still believes in the project and believes he's the man to take it forward. So again, I think it'll come down to what the club propose in the summer. Obviously, where we finish in the league or where we're looking like finishing, because if we get I mean, I might be completely wrong here, but if we get relegated, is there more chance of him staying because he feels almost bad for us going back down? He's like, nah, we'll get you back up next season. I don't know. He's a strange one. You can't read the bloke, but I think if he still believes in the project, I think we've got one more year out of him after this. One more. And I think that would be Radrizzani's made made the comments, hasn't he, that season 3 in the Premier League would be looking to push up the table and top half and all the rest of it. We'll see. We'll need some serious investment in the summer if that's to be the case. But I don't know. I don't know with Marcelo. But I agree with Mike. I think he will be involved in the recruitment of the next person in. Because I think...
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I think with Bielsa, just looking at the managers that have come in at other clubs after Bielsa's left, none have really been Bielsa-type managers, really. In terms of Bilbao.
Would it take Andrea and Victor to approach Marcelo and say, who do you think? Not a Marcelo saying, I think you should go here, but if the club has his opinion. And I think Andrea and Victor might do that. Victor knows plenty of that style of manager anyway, so Victor might have his own ideas. At the end of the day, it was Victor's shout to go and get Marcelo in the first place, so,
Oh, yeah, I'm not doubting that for 1 minute. I just think with Bielsa being so humble, I think he'd probably say, what's the best way of putting it? I don't think he would make that kind of... I don't think it'd be like a Ferguson thing where it would be like, go and get him. Trust me, go and get him kind of thing. I don't think it would be like that, but maybe I'm totally wrong. You can never, ever second-guess Bielsa. And that's the thing about a genius. You can never second-guess them. So it's never... which is a good thing. This is definitely a good thing in that sense. But it'd be interesting, if we do go down that same route. I think a lot of it depends in terms of how this season plays out. I think if last season, theoretically, had Bielsa decided, okay, we've finished 9th in the Premier League. I've had the season in the Premier League. I've really enjoyed it. I'll call it a day from here. Just for argument's sake, had he done that, I think it's a different situation. Then you kind of say, okay, we've got to get a manager in the same kind of mould as Bielsa because we've done so well in that first season in the Premier League, if that makes sense. I think. Yeah. But now it looked quite different in that kind of sense because say if Bielsa left now, I'm not necessarily saying I agree with this, but I think a lot of Leeds fans would say, okay, we need a more pragmatic manager to see out the season kind of thing. I'm not saying Bielsa's going to leave now, but if he did decide, because you never know with Bielsa, that's the thing, there would be some Leeds fans who would say, there might be a case of bringing in a more pragmatic manager. I'm not sure if you'd agree with that, Mike.
As long as he doesn't leave it until the day of the season or like a couple of weeks beforehand, say, no, I'm not doing this again. So it gives time to rebuild, like not rebuild as such, but the new manager to implement what they want. Yeah,
totally. But I would have thought that'd be the case, and I don't think we'd get left in the lurch kind of thing. I wouldn't have thought anyway.
No, I don't think he would do that, but it's just because obviously what happened last season, he didn't sign until the first day of the season against Liverpool, and then same this season.
Yeah, but I still think that in terms of private conversations, I'm not sure Chris would agree with this. I do think privately, I don't think anyone's under any doubt that Bielsa was going to stay. Do you agree, Chris?
Yeah, I don't think so, mate. I think it's just a case of he doesn't want to talk contracts. He just flat refuses to talk about his own contracts. Till it gets to the point where he has to sign it, otherwise he's no longer legally employed.
That's it. I mean, to be honest, legally, I don't think that first game against Liverpool last season, I don't think actually he was technically our manager, was he, going into that game legally?
No, interim manager, like those over the Pennines, we had an interim manager for a game.
Oh, dearie me. Let's have a look. Any other questions there? They're all good questions, by the way. I shouldn't have said it like that. Any other questions?
Every time.
I do. It's almost like it's totally deliberate now, which it is. Anyway, let's go into this question. This is definitely true, I think, from Pecan again. I think we all understand the Dan James signing a bit more now. But if Raf plays, who is our other winger, James or Harrison? I'm just going to throw out an additional bit to that question, Mike. What about all three on the pitch at the same time and going 4-2-3-1, Phillips and Forshaw in midfield, Rafa in the 10, and bang, just absolutely just go for it kind of thing?
I've said that for a while. I've said that in the chat that I would like to see all three behind either Rodrigo or Bamford, and then Phillips and whoever in the centre mid.
Yeah,
that would be.
I agree.
I 100% agree as well, and I think with Forshaw back now and showing the kind of form he is, I think that it allows that more, because it allows that front four to just go and do the thing. Interchange, all three of them can interchange in behind Bamford or Rodrigo, whoever it may be. And that's a strong front four, is that? Rafa, James, Harrison. Now, Jack looks like he's going to find a bit of form again, hopefully, if he can kick on from the weekend. Bamford's back kicking a ball around the field, so he's not far away, hopefully.
Is it the strongest in terms of the bottom half of the table for you, Chris, or is that going too far?
No, I think it is. And Rafa's a big part of that reason that it's the strongest front four, because for me, he gets in pretty much any Premier League team, maybe minus Liverpool because he plays in the Salah position. But any other team, I think he gets in. So he's a big part of the reason of it being probably the best front four out the bottom half for me. But yeah, why not?
I think even if you take Rafinha out of it and it's just James and Harrison, is still better than most in the bottom half.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, the fact of the matter is, and I think what Pecan's saying here is that all of a sudden, if we didn't decide to play all four at the same time, you've got the option of Dan James coming on later in the game, Harrison coming on later in the game against tired legs. You know,
if I was going to bring any of them off the bench, so if we had to say we were going to drop one, it would be James I'm dropping. And that's not because of bad form. I'm just thinking a lad with his pace and running power for the last 25 minutes against a tiring defence is going to really hurt defenders, just having to track him constantly. So if I was going to drop one, obviously form dependent, if they were all in form, then it'd probably be Dan James, and that's absolutely no slight on him. I just think he's probably you can't drop Rafa, so off the bench out of Jack and James, I think James can make the biggest impact coming on because of that raw pace.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, keep your questions coming in. Let's have a look. What's our next question up here? Let's have a look here. That one off Logan Batterson, I'm not sure I can even put that one up. It's just the last bit.
Strong in it.
Why is the third bit? Why does it have to be that? Why can't it? Can we not just call it Kiss, Marry, Avoid? I've not even put that up. You can't put that, Logan. Right, if you want that question answered, at least put avoid rather than what you've put at the end, because that's just like a bit too far. I'll just address this one. Again, quick one, this one. There's no fallout with Connor. I spoke to speak to Connor quite a lot, to be fair, so there's no fallout there with Connor. I can confirm that, guys.
And I don't know Connor, so...
So anyway, we'll move on from that one. Bit of drama. They're after a bit of drama there. So let's have a look. Let's go to Yorkshire Perlo. Whilst Logan retypes.
Calvin in the chat. Good to see you, Calv.
I know.
Gets his haircut in my town, does Calvin, by the way.
What's that?
He gets his haircut at the hairdresser's just down the road from me, does that, Calvin?
Did you get your haircut there as well?
I do now, just in case Calvin's
I knew that, you see. I mean, honestly, imagine that. Chris and Calvin in the same room, the most alpha room going, isn't it? Let's be totally honest.
Mate, he's got more alpha points than me now after putting Andre Mariner on his arse at the weekend.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, that was... And no booking either. Didn't get anything for it, so... Yeah, well, let's answer this question. I think we can definitely win against Brighton. It's Brighton at the end of the day. No disrespect to Brighton, they're a good team, but this isn't Bayern Munich away from home, is it, Mike? Let's be totally honest. I know they've won the last 2 games against us, but I'm not that worried about them in that kind of sense.
As long as they don't have a fluke result, like a shot that shouldn't go in, then I think we'll win it. It will be tight. Yeah. As long as we don't let Ben White have that room to run up our field again.
He'll have a big place for Arsenal.
Yeah, you know what I mean though. Like Ben White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Ben White's not going to do that against us on Saturday.
No, you know what I mean?
That's a positive going into it.
No, but an esque, like someone else doing it and just proper closing them down, not just letting them run.
Yeah, no, you're right. Which is why I said on post-match again, which is why I think Forshaw is so important in this position now, because it closes that gap in midfield a bit. And there seems to be some like madness going around that Brighton have got a hoodoo over us because they've beaten us a couple of times.
Twice, by the way, not like 5 or 6 times, twice. Getting
beat happens, and we deserved both beatings by Brighton last season. Let's be honest. I remember being you doing the watch long, Oscar, and I think it's one of the most depressed times I've ever had in my life, trying to talk about a football game that I didn't even want to watch at 70 minutes.
That was just having to spend an hour and a half with me.
But I don't see any reason why we can't go and beat them. I don't. If the Leeds United that turned up for the first 60 minutes against Spurs turns up against Brighton, with every chance, and then obviously kick on for 90 minutes and not fall off a cliff. But yeah, why not go and beat Brighton? And if it is a hoodoo, then hoodoos are there to be broken, aren't they?
Okay. Well, keep your questions coming in, guys. There's no like funny ones so far though today. There's no like non-serious ones. Let's get all the questions in. Come on, let's get them all the questions in. We had EastEnders, Snog, Marry, Avoid last time. I mean, none of that. Disappointing, isn't it, Mike? Disappointing so far. No. Mike especially wanted a question on that on Coronation Street, is what I was hearing. Right, let's go into the next question. What is Stuart Dallas's best position?
Good question.
I'm going to throw it out there. Left back, I'm going to say.
I agree. I think him and Jack Harrison have got a really good understanding on that left-hand side. I think it's Stuart's best position as well. I do.
But he's good as a right back, he's good as a centre mid, but left back for me is his best spot. Mike, what are you saying, mate?
I would say either there or centre mid next to Phillips.
Well, I mean, last season
he can drop back and then Phillips can push forward if needs be.
And he's played the season in that position as well. Yeah, we can't forget that. And as much as people are talking about the midfield, at the end of the day, we've got an England international there. Stuart Dallas can play in that position. I'm not saying we don't need a midfielder, but they're not all like below par, the midfielders we have available. Just some of them aren't playing to their full potential. But I think for me, just on the topic of Stuart Dallas, I thought he was a lot better against Tottenham. He always scores the goal of the season contender in that game in the first half. And we're one that whistled past the post. But I think he's been a lot better last couple of games. I think he's been a lot closer. Still not fully back to his old self, but a lot closer to it for me, Chris.
Yeah, definitely, mate. We're definitely starting to see the Stuart Dallas that we've seen over the last couple of seasons again, which is only a positive for us. Players coming back, getting fit, and players like Dallas who have been under his own ambition, bang out of form for multiple reasons early in the season. Then again, it only bodes well. But I do think I don't know if it's his best position, but I like him at left back because of that. Because of how he interacts with Jack Harrison. I think Jack feels more comfortable with Stuart behind him as well.
It's almost the thing, he's right-footed. That Harrison can play on his left, on that side, quite wide. Dallas can sort of go inside kind of thing, on the underlap kind of thing on his right foot. It kind of works quite well from that dynamic.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate, definitely.
Well, guys, keep your questions coming in. Smash that like button as well for us. We're going to do another 5-10 minutes or so, depending on how many more questions we get in here. Right, let's have a look. Any other questions here?
It's a good one from
I can't see it.
As he's now known. And I'll flash it up.
Okay. Well, this is easy.
Go on then.
This is easy. Why do we have to only give you one?
Go on then, your top three.
Top three. Well, Raf is just like, he's such a cool guy. He's got to be top by a long way. Second, Jack Harrison. Jack Harrison's a looker though, isn't he? Can't lie about that. He's a looker, is our Jack. Who would third be? Who would third be? I'll go Calvin third. I'll go Calvin. Right, so that's my top three.
You've actually got my top three in the same order. I was thinking of it at the same time. Calvin, because he's a Leeds boy, and the dimples. Everyone loves the Calvin dimples when he's smiling. Jack is a good-looking boy. Now the man bun's gone. Now that man bun's gone.
I mean, I've just remembered, actually. It's very true, that of Jordan Dix. It's very, very true. Robin Koch, you know. I tell you what, I'd almost forgive him for that Bruno Fernandes score a hat-trick against us. Well, no, I can't, actually. I can't forgive that. That was not a great performance. But no. I'm staying firm. Robin Koch is not in the top three.
And Rafa's my top. Especially since he reposted my story on Instagram. I've loved him ever since.
Did that do it for you?
I'm all about the likes.
Were you locking yourself in the garage with the curtains drawn in, the lights off for a couple of days there, Chris? Is that what?
I was just happy, mate. He just made me happy.
Phillips would be second for me, though. I'll have Phillips second.
Okay.
I don't know who we third, though.
So many to choose from.
True. Probably
Cooper. Not a looking team, actually, are we? If you think about it,
it is a good-looking team. It's a good-looking. Compared to the Warnock team, it's a good-looking team.
Well, mate, they look like they'd run into a parked bus that lot, didn't they?
They probably did.
Yeah, true.
Prove your commitment. Run into that bus. The character building, Warnock could call it.
Patrick Bamford, the boy next door, good-looking boy as well.
Boy next door. That is so spot on.
Isn't he?
It is, yeah.
It's the one you take home to your mum, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. 100%, yeah. It's hard then. It's hard, but I'm still saying my top three.
This got deep, this. I thought this would be a quick fire for this one.
I'd probably say Meslier would be third.
That's a shout. The voice as well. The voice is commanding. It's a sexy voice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, interesting conversation. Let's move on to a more serious question. Let's have a look. Okay. This is a good one. Highly unlikely, but with all our nice and positive starts to the question, that isn't it? What a positive start to a theoretical question that is. Highly unlikely, which is true. But with all players fully fit, what would your best starting 11 be? The reason I say it's true is because most teams can't put the strongest 11 out. But Chris, you seem to be pretty certain on that. I'll go to you first, mate.
I thought about this the other day. So obviously Meslier in net, that goes without saying. Right back, Luke Ayling, when in form, he's our best right back, no question. Diego Llorente and Pascal Struijk at centre back. That isn't me slamming Coops. I just prefer Pascal. And Stuart Dallas at left back for reasons already suggested earlier. Centre midfield, Calvin and Adam Forshaw. We're just seeing good things with them too. I think there's a real partnership blossoming. And then the front four we've already discussed. So Rafa, James, Harrison and Bamford up top. That's mine.
I totally agree. Mike, any different?
If you're going strongest 11, then yeah. But to have more impact, I would probably put one of the front four on the bench, Dallas in mid, Firpo at left back.
Okay, it's more balanced, I guess. You know, having a left footer at left back, and but I think what I'd say is about that strongest 11. I think 9 out of the 11 players, or 10 out of the 11 players, I think we'd all agree on. It's just that 1 or 2 where you're thinking, ooh, that's a bit more debate. But I do think, you pretty easily pick at least 8 or 9 out of those 11 players. But a suggestion from Jordan Dix here: Meslier, Ayling, Llorente, Pascal, Firpo, Calvin, Dallas for sure. So like a free midfield, Rafa, Harrison, Bamford. Yeah, interesting one. I think that's probably more likely what Bielsa would go with myself. I would have thought he'd still stick with the three central midfielders, or at least play with three central midfielders in that kind of sense. But it'll be interesting. One day it'll happen. We'll be able to play all the players at once. I think last season, was it like 20 minutes, the new signings on the pitch together? And it's like the last game of the season, I think, or second to last game of the season. It was it's quite a depressing stat, that. But anyway, it's one of those things. Let's have a look. Okay. Calvin, you shouldn't be asking this question, to be totally honest, Yorkshire Pirlo. Very disappointed to be asking this question. Do you think we will lose Rafa and Calvin in the summer? I don't think that Leeds will sell two of our key players. I probably agree with that. I don't think we'd lose both at the same time. I doubt that would happen, personally. But Chris, what would you say to that?
No, I don't think we'd sell both. I mean, again, money talks, obviously, but I think it would take a lot of work to replace both those players in the same window with anything like the same quality. So, and I think there's more potential of Rafinha going. I don't want him to go, but if someone comes in with 80, 90 million pounds swinging around in a suitcase, then I don't think the club will turn it down. Just because of the way Radrazani's always talked about us following the Leicester model. I'm sure probably Victor Orta's got a list of 5 or 6 players who he believes can come in and be the next Rafinha. But I don't see us selling both. I think that's too much then. You're looking at too much of a squad rebuild then, taking the two who are the two big stars out of the team at the same time.
I'd agree. Mike, anything different there, you'd say?
I don't think both will go. I think one might. Depends on who is another matter. Now, I want both to stay, but again, money talks. Depends on who comes in for the players and what team it is, and whether or not they'd get the same love and affection that they would at Leeds.
I don't think anyone can give them the same love and affection.
No.
Certainly higher up the food chain, if so to speak. I think that's one of the things about you go higher up. It's the players who.
And I think
that reason.
I think that's a really good point from Mike. So I think, how many players have we seen? I mean, there have been players that have left Leeds and gone on to do good and great things, but so many leave and then fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
I mean, Jermaine
the ones
Beckford,
who went to Norwich.
Well, yeah. Jermaine Beckford, who's an absolute idol at Leeds, but it never really happened for him once he left us at Everton and beyond.
You should tell him that next time you see him.
I'll have a word with him next time.
It never really happened for you, did it?
It really worked, did it, Bex?
You're just one of us, really. You're just a,
But it shows, though, doesn't it? Because of all the clubs he played for, Leeds is the one he gravitated back to.
No, I don't know what you're saying.
It was over. I mean, I think he got injuries and stuff at Everton, which didn't help. He was in and out of the team. But
well, they actually, at Everton, I mean, I remember speaking to Everton fans about this. His time at Everton's quite forgotten about, in the sense that, well, underrated, because I think he scored. I think his goal record at Everton was actually really strong, but I think it was more the injuries that meant he didn't stay beyond the year. But a lot of Everton fans liked him, and he was actually a first choice at Everton, so he made this step up quite well. And I think as well, if you look it up, I think it was against Chelsea, he scored one of the best goals of that season that he played.
Yeah, he went from his own half, didn't he? Yeah.
He put John Terry on his arse, so that's always a nice thing as well. So that should automatically win Premier League Goal of the Decade in that kind of sense. But yeah, interesting that John Terry, by the way, seems to do everything he can to try and get a job at this moment in time. I noticed.
Did you see he was out at the F1?
Yeah.
Probably I commented on it. I was like, I'm surprised he didn't turn up in a full race suit.
Yeah, I was going to say, put himself in for the last lap or something.
Full kit wanker.
Opinions on full kit wankers. Anyway, that's the next question. That's the next question. But anyway, we'll have a few more, and then we'll. In fact, to be honest, a lot of them are kind of stuff we've already covered. But let's have a look. I'd agree with this. I think Rafa, as long as he doesn't go to Man United, I mean, it's going to be difficult if Rafa does one day leave Leeds United. It's going to be difficult, but as long as he doesn't go there, I think it's easier to get over. I think with all these players, I think Mike kind of alluded to it. I would rather they went abroad, kind of thing, and didn't play against us again in that kind of sense. If they did leave Leeds.
I think I said a few weeks ago on one of these, Oscar, that if he went to like a PSG or somewhere in Spain, I'd keep an eye on what he's doing. I think I'd actively look out for their games and watch them when they were on to see Rafa play. He's that exciting to watch that if he went to Premier League team, then I'd be like, fall on your ass to me. But if he went abroad, I'd definitely keep an eye on him. I think he's just a mega player.
Mega, he is. Mike, what would you say to that? Would you rather, if say a player did leave Leeds in this summer or next summer?
Sorry, hold on. Sorry, 2 seconds, mate.
No worries. But let's see. Have we got any other questions coming in?
I think this.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to that one.
Let's do that one. I clicked on the wrong one, but yeah.
Which one were you meant to click on?
About the 49ers, which we can do in a minute.
Okay. I'll mic back in.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, mate. No worries.
Does he need to leave in January? Everyone knows I'm one of Tyler's critics, but does he need to leave? What worries me is, again, our lack of depth. However, I've said that I think players like Joffy are ahead of him. I think Joffy's got more chance of coming off the bench and making an impact. So I wouldn't be pissed off in any way if Tyler left on loan for 6 months and then see what happens beyond that. Because it'll depend how we strengthen in the summer. But I think even for his own personal development and confidence, I think it might be best for Tyler to go away for a few months and score some goals in the Championship and find his feet. I just think it's not working for him at Leeds at the minute. And he's a young lad, and you don't, as much as I've absolutely rinsed him on here, you don't want to see a player fail. I want to see Tyler Roberts do well. So maybe time away is what's best for him.
Okay. Mike, what would you say to that if there was to be an offer from a championship club in the January, would you take it for a loan deal?
I'd sell him for a penny. I'd give the other club money to take him. I'm not a fan of him whatsoever. Like, I don't know what he brings to the club. Like, energy, and that's it. His final ball is shocking, in my opinion. He can't finish. So I don't even know if they know what his best position is. They bring him on, put him up wide, put him up front, attacking mid. In my opinion, it probably would be better if he did go on loan, see how he gets on. If they say, right, play him in this position and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, look, unfortunately, just to mention as well, obviously Ian Pervader's picked up that big injury out on loan at Blackburn. But Ian Pervader, I mean, last season I didn't really see Ian Pervader improving that much in a similar way to Tyler. Obviously, Ian's a lot younger, etc. But he was showing a good bit of form for Blackburn, to be fair. Before he picked up that injury at the weekend, he was actually playing really well for Blackburn, according to their forums and that lot of opinion on Twitter. So it'd be interesting. I would personally much rather loan out than sell, because I think at this moment in time, with obviously Tyler not being a regular for us, I think you get better value in terms of if you did want to sell Tyler in the future. I think it's better to do it later on. After he's had a loan move out, maybe scored a couple of goals, and then we can decide from there, do we want to keep him, or do we think it's best to move Tyler on permanently? If that is the idea, I'd rather do it that way. And I think we will do it that way rather than sell Tyler, to be totally honest. Because, look, Costa and Pervader played a lot less minutes than what Tyler has for Leeds, and they were only loaned out. They weren't sold permanently. So I personally think we'd go down that route, to be honest. Yeah, I do think we go down that route. But let's see. We'll have one more question before we call it a night. Keep hitting that like button for us, guys. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Let's have a look. Okay, right. It's not quite what the question is, but I'm just going to take from this question. I I personally think Rafa's worth a lot more than 60, 70 mil on the basis that Grealish went for 100 mil. A couple of other deals as well. We're seeing Ben White, no disrespect to Ben White, went for 50 mil as a centre back. I think Rafinha, at least, for me personally, 80, 90 mil plus at least. And that's not even on current form. On current form, he's £100 million for me. I genuinely do believe that. What would you value Rafinha at, Mike?
Start at least 88 million, and then add-ons, right? Maybe even a sell-on percentage. So depending on how well he does as well, if he then moves on for like future. But I wouldn't take anything less than 88 million.
Okay.
Personally.
Chris?
Yeah, I think it's got to be at least 80 million for the club to listen to the offer. I really do. I think we're in a position where we've got used to, as Leeds, over the years, through all the financial trouble of selling cheap. We don't need to sell cheap here. There's no need for Rafinha to go. So it's the price has got to be right, and we'll play hardball with it. We know Angus, money-wise, is very shrewd. So I think it's going to take an offer of 80 million just to sit around the table and discuss it further. I think anything lower will get laughed out the club. Because there will be some cheeky offers coming through. You can see it now. Someone offering 50 million, and someone with 2 left feet, and be like, "Yeah, John, I mean, it's that's what I mean. The offer's got to be right. But if that kind of money does come in, your 80s, your 90s, then I think the club will think about it seriously. And I don't think there's many clubs out there in the current climate that can afford Rafinha, which is why I'm more confident that it'll probably be. And I think we've said it before, and someone said it in the chat. I think it'll be somewhere like a PSG that would look at a Rafinha. He's massive in Brazil now. He's on everybody's end of everybody's tongue in Brazil at the minute. They'll love him. They absolutely love him. And for PSG are big on marketing value and all that kind of stuff. And Rafinha is extremely marketable now. Brazilian tricky winger is what you picture as a footballer as a kid growing up. You know what I mean? So I think it'll be a PSG or someone like that if he does go, and they can obviously afford to come in with proper money for him. So 80 million north, I think the club sit down.
Well, come into a swap deal. We can come with a swap deal as well, to be fair, and Mbappe one way and Rafinha the other. But yeah, I think the thing is, I think fans would consider it as well. Would say, hang on a minute, who's getting the better deal now if we did a swap deal? That's how mad it is that we've got a player of that quality. But guys, I think we'll leave it there anyway. Big thanks for you guys tuning in anyway. Big thanks to Mike as well. Debut for Mike. Have you enjoyed it, mate?
Yeah, it's been good.
Good stuff. Hopefully we'll have you on a few more videos. You'll come on board with us anyway.
Yeah. Whenever I'm not working.
Love it. And just to say, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're pushing towards 23.2k now. We're not far off that. I was just to mention as well, we've had a couple of videos deleted from the channel. We're not sure what's happened there. So if there is some videos that have disappeared, we apologise for that, guys. We are in contact with YouTube at this moment in time to try and sort that out. We're not sure what's happened there. But anyway, we'll leave it there, guys. I'm going to have a pre-match out for Brighton tomorrow. Leeds Lasses this time tomorrow night as well. And then we'll obviously have our usual pre-match stuff, big match preview, and then we're on to match day when we're going to beat Brighton. And Neil Maupay is going to, I don't know, what's Neil Maupay going to do, Chris?
I don't want to be nasty, so let's just say get sent off.
Get sent off.
Same thing.
I was teeing him up there, thinking he's going to say something nasty there. I was teeing him up, but he didn't take it. He didn't take the chance. But anyway, guys, we're going to leave it there. Big thanks to you catching us on a Tuesday night with your All These To Be Q&A. And we will see you later, guys. See you later, Nicholas. And we will leave it there.